quick here. I'm not going to ramble on like I did the last couple of these 3D print videos, but I do want to have a record of this latest one. This is a Stegosaurus model that I just printed. It came out pretty well. I do want to preface it by saying, the whole thing, I want to preface it by saying winter sucks. I hate winter. Actually, winter is not so bad as a season, but when you're in Iowa or any place where it gets cold, winter sucks. So the good thing about it, however, is that it gives me plenty of time to do this sculpting that I do, and then now I'm in the printing game. So this is the latest. The Stegosaurus came out pretty well. However, even more complicated than the last model. The Werewolf by Night model, I'll put a picture of that up just to remind you of what that was. About 2 weeks ago I finished that one. This ended up being, like I said, a keying nightmare. Sectioning it out, you had these, I wanted all the pieces to fit on the build plate, which is always the challenge. I want these models to be respectable size, but I had to partition the model so that each piece would fit on the build plate. The head and the front legs, the mid torso, or the torso and the rear legs, which you see here. And then, because these dorsal plates are so large on this species, I had to slice those separately, but that came out okay. That fits pretty well on the top there. I'm learning how to make the keys fit better, but now before I couldn't get them to key together tightly or fit together properly because the keys were too big, the male keys, the dongles, I guess. Hey, is that your dongle that's showing? Is that your dongle, or are you just happy to see me? So the tail came out pretty good, and it keys in pretty well, but it's a little loose. It's a little loose. And then on top of that is the final set of dorsal spines. But when you see the close-ups of this thing, you'll see where the problem occurred. Getting these things to fit together properly, we have all kinds of gaps. The model itself, here's the front footfall base. That didn't key properly. I broke the key off of the front foot. That goes right there. So all in all, a pretty good model. But I want to show you, I wanted to mention, I wanted to have an opportunity to show the usual Zbrush stage of the sculpts. Right here you're looking at a time lapse of the initial sculpting in Zbrush, and then you'll see how much better the model itself looks in Zbrush. You can see the gaps in this thing pretty clearly, which is not acceptable, but I don't want to do a reprint. I'm not going to do a reprint of it, but I am going to have to glue it, and I am going to have to use fillers. So I've got some fillers here and some gray paint to match where I patch it up. It'll look pretty good, but I hope you enjoyed this little tour of the Stegosaurus model. The reason I'm in it, I always throw myself into the shots because I want you to get a sense of scale. It's a pretty respectable size. I could have gone a little bigger actually on this. I'm always crouching in for the shot, but I'm pretty happy with the scale of this. But here's the you can see the gaps, especially on, I don't know about, yeah, you can see the gap in the hip area. The gap between, I had to split the dorsal spine. It's pointless. It's all falling. Yeah, I'm gonna have to glue this. Kind of a jumbled mess here. I kind of it was a calculated risk the way I keyed this thing. But overall I'm pretty happy with it. Except I'm going to have to glue. I never had to glue any of my other pieces. This one I'm going to have to glue. Stegosaurus! Have to hold it together, unlike the other. Yeah, I'm going to break this thing. I'm done. I'm going to break this thing to pieces trying to show you on camera. So, hell with it. I'm going to glue and I'm going to bond.